I feel I should say a few words, but not very, very many, and I'm just going to kind of say some thank yous. Firstly to Harriet for all her work on the magazine and for organising this wonderful venue. To Frank, who's filming over there and helped me set up and is just a rock generally. To all of the contributors, and especially those who've agreed to read this evening. And also to all of you for coming. And it's really exciting as well to have, a bunch of people here who I've never met before. It's a bit of an adventure for us being here in Cambridge, even though, Oxford and Cambridge not completely different places. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone turning up. So to begin with, we're going to have reading a short story from our new issue, Tom Wells.
My own conscience. But haven't I been worse? Haven't I been for myself a cell and a prison? Didn't I crawl into my cage and hold it shut? Yes, from the inside. Didn't I lower myself before those so low that to exalt them I had to shove my face into the muck? Have I not been sick? Even quaked before my fear and worshipped it? Humbled myself before my...
And next we have classicist, poet, set and magazine designer Gracelyn reading some poems.
All this morning peeling garlic, and its unearthly scent between my fingers. Sitting here as if a wave had carried us in and left us barefoot, turned slightly aside, caulked instead with salt. The sea does not remember its folds. In it, we disperse like sheaves of paper or fall through as cold as wax. And yet they say that it received each meal from her with a sound like breathing. And yet they swear that this seabird diving, crying out, is no other thing more than her soul.
I love being read to. It's just the nicest thing. I sometimes wonder whether these things are actually just an excuse to kind of facilitate a group version of that childhood thing. So the next person who's going to read, I've known since I was a child, perhaps since I was about 6, maybe younger, I don't know. And he's a wonderful poet, but also I think an inspiration in terms of being someone who has kind of devoted his life to creativity in various different ways. So Damon Moore is the next person. Damon.
Just offering I heard that Cambridge was full of spies and physicists, so I've tried to dress as a sort of part spy, part physicist, so that I can fit in. This is EIOPY, the 8 Instructions of Peter Young, and it has a short introduction. Peter Young's cottage on the Norfolk coast has been in the ownership of his family since childhood. Now semi-retired, Peter has hardly made any additions or alterations to the property over time, nor to its furnishings. Lifting the needle on Peter Young's vinyl record collection, what I hardly have an inkling of never left, if the mood is right. If the mood is right, boats berth upon their buoys, low tide supporting not the going, but the staying. If the mood is right, dipping sun rubs old varnish on. Mood or no mood, coast path walkers draw back, drawn to the unanswerable. Peter rebuilt the garden wall after a recent flood, but it doesn't stop boats leaning over for a chat. Gathering up plans, I leave by the side entrance. Boats are used to that. to the way we treat them in the absence of their owners. In the sitting room hangs a painting by George Townsend of three fishermen grimacing down on the harbour side, hands pocketed, gossiping. Identical jumpers, identical trousers. Despiritualised as a seagull's screech, they sell sardines pulled dripping from the sea's apron. He paints it well, a seagull's screech, does Julian Trevelyan. Peter's television works, but only just. So the intergenerational drama we have been following, sold to international broadcasting, concedes like white-sailed dinghies on a go-round of the creek. Crunching exoskeletons on ribbons of lost property, inch ever closer to the post path, like levels of welcome terns and natterjack toads can expect from civilization. Out of Deepdale Marsh, planted on mainland, a windmill sails into plain view. Reed buntings, straw bustle, scalloped eddies, rush, scaly saltings, voice a general urgency. Not they, yet I notice then, how mainland sails never spin, muffled as they are within the great validity of this ecosystem. Long after the Greek darkens, long after the creek darkens, birds leave their cries, sailors their lost possessions. I'm following along the sand, determinedly your sky blue wind jacket tracking a surface of great magnitude. I've read about experiences like this in articles written by astronauts, when the sense of place and conscious self gives way to the thrill of things untried. I pick up shells the colour of laughter, which crumble pathetically. No one tells the sea when to laugh. Wreaths of sand switch course, genies in a hissing soundscape. Eventually, you will turn about. Eventually, when the mood is right.
I'm Pilkington.
Armitage shank stank seeps to the streets near a taxi rank, tarnishing that fat-free city that cats trapped in Banksea want to see, with lean, junky aesthetics synthetically tarred hard by the bent and broken parts of piss-stained fag ends. This subsistence of caffeinated wisdom missed out on a mid-late century individualist prosperousness, a mouthful for a failing modernism that's misunderstanding and not understood. Plymouth city centre, you're little more than piss on the flood. After the war, your doorsteps were brassoed, you looked good despite unsightly rubble on your chin.